It's International Day of Democracy, a day dedicated to promoting and upholding the principles of democracy throughout the world. And I'm joined today by someone with a key role in doing just that for Victoria's democracy. Speaker of the Legislative Assembly, Maree Edwards. Thanks for joining
me. Yep, pleasure.
So, first of all, for those who don't already know, tell us a little bit about the role of the Speaker in our system of government.
Well, the role of the Speaker is a very big one, and it's not limited to just being in the chamber and directing the debate in the chamber or ensuring that members follow the rules of the House, which is what most people would perceive that the role of the Speaker is, because they see me sitting in the chair and directing the debate in the chamber. There's a lot more to it than that. So I'm also responsible for the Department of Parliamentary Services, which is a very big department that looks after the whole of the precinct and a lot of employees within that, as well as the electorate offices across Victoria. The 88 lower house electorate offices that exist for every member in the lower house. So we have, as presiding officers, both myself and the President, a very significant role in ensuring that the parliamentary precinct, which is both the Parliament where it sits, the gardens, the grounds, the building, as well as 55 St Andrews Place, are well looked after. We look after capital works, we look after refurbishments, maintenance of the building, all of those things that fall under the remit of Speaker.
Democracy, we're here on International Day of Democracy. Democracy is under threat in some parts of the world. How would you rate the health of democracy here in Victoria, and are there things that give you concern?
Absolutely. Look, I think we in this Parliament understand the importance of democracy. This building is representative of democracy, and for, I think, in particular young people, it's important that we promote that. I'm very big on civics education in terms of democracy. We have a fantastic outreach program for students by our staff here in the Parliament who go out to schools. They do role plays, they talk about the role of Parliament, they talk about democracy, they talk about the importance of it. But historically, I think we forget sometimes how hard fought democracy has been, not just for us here in Australia or Victoria, but indeed across the world. People have fought in wars to protect democracy. And so to realise that suddenly now we are facing some threats to that democracy is quite concerning. So I think the important part of all of this is to ensure that our young people understand the history of how we got to where we are with our democratic processes, how we have free and fair elections, which some countries have never known, and how we can better our democracy.
And of course, this is, it's an old institution, it's heavy with a lot of history. What are some of the things that you've done to sort of open it up to make it feel more inclusive, to perhaps represent other points of view in the history around here?
Yeah, so we've obviously done some First Nations work here in this building, bearing in mind that this is a colonial building, so there are parts of this building that are anathema to our First Nations people, but we want to support obviously with treaty that we need to make sure that this building and the surrounds of this Parliament incorporate First Nations culture, and we're working on that in a bigger way, I think, than we ever have before. Certainly we've got the plaque acknowledging the Wurundjeri people in our foyer. We've got some artwork now across the Parliament that acknowledges First Nations people. But in terms of our broader accessibility, we're certainly encouraging people with disabilities. We have a disability action plan so that people with disabilities can access the Parliament, particularly people with hearing impairments. We now have QR codes so they can understand what the tour guides are talking about as they go through, bringing more school students in, doing the role plays in the chamber. These are all really important things that give people a better understanding of why the Parliament exists, what we do here, which is basically the democratic process, passing laws and legislation that affect people's lives every day. So giving them a better understanding of what we do in here, but what this building is all about. It really is a representation of democracy.
And so you don't necessarily have to be elected to participate in democracy in Victoria or even in the workings of this building. You can participate through committees and that kind of thing. What would you encourage people, particularly young people, to do to sort of get involved in the kind of laws that are debated and passed here?
Well, we already have a number of programs to engage young people and youth across the Parliament. So we have the Parliamentary Prize, which we just announced this week, which goes to young people across our schools to present a 90-second statement on an issue of importance to them in where they live, and then the prize winners are selected. So it's been a really, really popular process, and we're getting more and more young people involved in that every year. So we have young people from across different schools come in and they debate bills and they go through the processes of what that looks like in the chamber. Someone is the speaker, someone is the the leader of the opposition, and it's fantastic to see them participating in that way.
Well, that seems like a good note to finish it on. Speaker of the Legislative Assembly, Maree Edwards, thank you very much for joining me today.
My pleasure, and happy International Democracy Day.